Far beyond the busy towns of men, there was a quiet village by the sea. And in that village lived a girl named Aya, alone, forgotten, but not unseen by fate. Each evening she wandered to the shore, her bare feet sinking into the sand, her eyes fixed on the endless waves. Though she had nothing, she carried a light within her, a necklace that shimmered faintly against the twilight. On this night, the air was different. The wind rose, the ocean stirred, and her necklace began to glow brighter than ever before. The sea itself seemed to call her name. And then, it happened. The waters trembled, pulling back to reveal a great passage of light that reached deep into the heart of the ocean. It was the call, a doorway that opened only once in 10 years. Aya tried to resist. She tried to run. But the sea would not be denied. The wind howled, the earth shifted, and with a cry that echoed into the night, Aya was swept into the depths, swallowed by destiny itself. The sea closed over Aya, yet she did not drown. Instead, she fell, weightless, through a swirling tunnel of light. Around her, shadows of strange creatures darted, their shapes too quick to follow, their eyes glowing in the dark. She spun helplessly, clutching her necklace, her heart pounding as if it would burst. The waters carried her faster, deeper, pulling her further from the world she knew. Colors flickered across the tunnel walls, green, blue, violet, dancing like fire across glass. They dazzled her eyes, even as terror gripped her chest. For a moment she thought she heard whispers, voices in the water, calling to her in a language she did not understand. Down, down she sank, until the light around her began to fade. The tunnel narrowed, twisting into darkness. The current slowed, and Aya tumbled out, landing hard against rough stone. She gasped, though no air escaped her lips. She was alive. She was breathing, even beneath the sea. Confused, she stumbled to her feet, surrounded by the faint glow of moss and corals clinging to the cave walls. The silence was heavy, the water thick. And in that silence, Aya realized, she was no longer alone. Aya stood in the cave, her breath quick and shallow, though no bubbles left her lips. The glow of the moss lit the stone walls in faint blue, and strange plants swayed gently though no current stirred them. She took one step forward. Then another. Her heart echoed louder than the silence. And then, she heard it. A sound. Low. Guttural. Almost like a growl carried through the water. From the shadows ahead, 2 eyes appeared. Then 4. Then 6. Enormous, glowing, unblinking eyes, each one fixed upon her. Aya froze. Her hand clutched the necklace at her chest as if it could shield her. But the darkness moved, and out from the cavern mouth slid a creature unlike any she had ever imagined. Its body was long, armored in jagged scales that shimmered faintly like oil upon water. Its mouth was lined with teeth as long as daggers. It circled her, slow and deliberate, as if savoring the fear in her eyes. Aya turned to flee, but as she darted around a rock, another shadow rose before her, larger, heavier, with fins that spread like wings. This monster opened its mouth, releasing a soundless roar that shook her bones. Now she was trapped, one beast behind her, one ahead. Her chest tightened. Her eyes burned with tears that would not fall in the water. She spun, desperate, and swam between them, her arms flailing, her legs heavy in the strange water. She weaved past jagged rocks, but every escape led only to another horror. And then, it came. The largest of them all. From the cavern ceiling, a massive shape uncoiled. Its body stretched longer than a ship, covered in scars and thick scales. Its eyes glowed a fiery red, and when it opened its mouth, the darkness itself seemed to pour from its throat. Aya's scream broke against the water as the beast lunged. She barely twisted aside, its jaws snapping shut inches from her face. The current of its strike hurled her against the rocks, cutting her arm. Pain flared, sharp and burning, and for the first time she felt the truth. This place was not a dream. It was real. And here, she could die. The monster's roar thundered through the cave, shaking stone loose from the walls. Its eyes burned brighter, its body twisting like a storm around her. Aya tried to swim, tried to fight, but her limbs felt heavy, weak, hopeless. The beast lunged once more. She closed her eyes, clutching her necklace, waiting for the end. But then, light. A sudden burst of silver cut through the darkness, slicing across the monster's snout. The creature recoiled with a deafening cry, thrashing in pain. Aya's eyes flew open. Before her stood a figure, tall, strong, and radiant against the gloom. His hair floated like strands of midnight, his armor gleamed like polished pearl, and in his hand burned a spear tipped with crystal light. It was him. Kai, the Prince of the Sea. With swift, graceful movements, he faced the monster without fear. The spear struck again and again, not to kill, but to drive the beast back into the shadows where it belonged. The cavern quaked with its retreat, until finally, the water stilled once more. Aya drifted, trembling, her breath ragged. She expected her savior to vanish like a dream, but instead, he turned to her. His eyes, deep as the ocean itself, met hers. In them, she saw no anger, no judgment. Only kindness. Only wonder. "You should not be here," he said softly, his voice carrying like music through the water. "It is not safe." Aya could not speak. The words caught in her throat, trapped by awe and relief. Kai reached out, steadying her hand. The warmth of his touch spread through her chest, calming the storm inside her. "Come," he said. "Let me show you the sea as it was meant to be seen." And for the first time, Aya felt safe. For the first time, she felt that she belonged. Kai led Aya through the dark cavern, his spear glowing softly, casting light across the stone walls. The air, or was it the water, grew warmer, brighter, as though the shadows themselves dared not follow him. Aya clung close, still trembling, her eyes darting to every corner. Yet with each step, the fear in her heart loosened, replaced by something new. Curiosity. The tunnel widened, the stone giving way to open waters. And then, Aya gasped. Before her stretched a world beyond imagination. The sea opened into a vast kingdom, glittering with light that seemed to come from everywhere at once. Coral towers rose like castles, glowing in shades of gold and blue. Gardens of sea grass swayed like emerald fields. Schools of silver fish darted through archways carved into the rocks. Great whales drifted above, their tails beating slowly, their songs echoing like music in the distance. Lantern-like creatures floated in the currents, their bodies casting rainbow hues across the seabed. Aya's eyes filled with wonder. Never had she seen such beauty, not even in her dreams. The poverty, the loneliness of her life on land, it felt a world away, as though it had never existed. And everywhere, there were people. Not humans, but sea folk. Some with tails like mermaids, others with fins along their arms, and still others with skin that shimmered like scales. They moved gracefully, their laughter bubbling like bells in the water. They stopped to stare at Aya, whispering among themselves. Some with curiosity, some with caution. For no human had walked these streets in generations. But Aya did not notice their whispers. Her gaze was fixed on the palace at the heart of the city, a grand fortress carved of pearl and crystal, rising high into the currents like a crown upon the ocean floor. It was there Kai led her. And though Aya's heart beat fast with fear, it also swelled with something new. Hope. For in this strange and wondrous kingdom, she felt, perhaps for the first time, that she was not alone. Days passed in the kingdom beneath the waves, though Aya could not tell how. There was no sun, no moon, only the shifting glow of the deep. Yet time seemed to move differently here, slower, softer, like the lull of a dream. Kai remained by her side. At first, he was her protector, guiding her through the strange wonders of his world. He showed her the coral gardens, where flowers of light bloomed in silence. He took her to the great market, where sea folk traded pearls, shells, and the glowing stones of the deep. He even brought her to the singing caverns, where voices of mermaids filled the waters with melodies so haunting they seemed to touch her soul. Aya watched, listened, and learned. And with each passing moment, the fear within her faded. The girl who had once wandered alone along the shore now laughed among the people of the sea. She marveled at the colors, the creatures, the endless beauty she had never known. And always, when she turned her eyes, there was Kai, the prince who had saved her. The prince who saw her not as a trespasser, but as something more. At night, when the city lay quiet, they would drift together beneath the glowing jellyfish lanterns. They spoke of their worlds, of the sea that belonged to him, and the land that had abandoned her. Kai listened with a tenderness Aya had never known, and when he spoke of his dreams, she felt them as though they were her own. Something stirred between them then. Something delicate, fragile, like a pearl forming in secret. Neither spoke its name. Neither dared. But it grew, undeniable, with every glance, every touch, every silence they shared. And though Aya's heart was full, a shadow lingered still. For she knew she did not belong here. She was human. And the sea, as beautiful as it was, could never truly be her home. But still, she wished. She wished the moments would never end. She wished the door between worlds would never close. And most of all, she wished she could stay by Kai's side, forever. The kingdom of the sea shimmered with beauty, but for Aya, each passing moment felt heavier. The light in her necklace, once bright and warm, now flickered faintly, like a candle nearing its end. She tried to hide it from Kai, laughing with him, exploring the wonders he showed her, pretending the weight of time did not exist. But the truth could not be hidden. With each day, her steps grew slower. Her breaths came sharper. Her body, a body not made for the sea, was failing. Kai saw it too. Though he said nothing at first, his eyes betrayed his fear. And finally, one night, beneath the glowing lantern fish, he spoke the word she dreaded. Aya, the gate will soon close. If you do not return, you may never see the air above again. Aya's heart broke at his words. Return. Return to what? To loneliness, to silence, to the empty shore where no one waited for her. Here, she had found color. Here, she had found laughter. Here, she had found love. But the sea was not her home. It was Kai's. Her eyes filled with tears that the water could not wash away. And if I stay? She whispered. Kai's gaze dropped to the dim glow of her necklace. His silence was answer enough. She turned from him, her chest aching, torn between two worlds. The land that had abandoned her. The sea that could not keep her. And the boy who held her heart, caught between them both. At last, Kai reached for her hand, his touch trembling. I would give you the sea if I could, he said. But I cannot give you breath. Aya closed her eyes, pressing her forehead to his. For a long moment, they said nothing. Words could not hold the weight of their hearts. And in that silence, Aya knew her choice. She must return. Not because she wanted to, but because she had to. It was the only way to survive. But in choosing life, she would leave behind love. And nothing in the world could make that choice easy. Currents, the waters trembled, swirling into the great passage that opened once in 10 years. Its glow spread through the kingdom, a warning and a promise. The gate was open, but only for moments. Kai held Aya's hand tightly as they swam toward it. Neither spoke, for words were powerless now. Every heartbeat was a stolen moment. Every breath, a goodbye. At the edge of the tunnel, the pull grew strong. The water itself seemed to tug at Aya, urging her upward, back to the world of air and earth. She clung to Kai, desperate, unwilling to let go. Please, she whispered, though her voice trembled. Come with me. Kai's eyes softened, but sorrow weighed heavy within them. He shook his head. The land is not mine. I would not survive where you must go. Her throat tightened. Tears stung her eyes though the sea swallowed them whole. She wanted to fight, to refuse, to stay forever at his side. But already her chest ached. Already the glow of her necklace was faint as dying embers. Aya, Kai said, his voice breaking like a wave. Remember me. Even if we never meet again, remember that for a moment, beneath the sea, we found each other. The tunnel flared with light. The current surged, pulling Aya from his grasp. She reached for him, fingers brushing his for the last time. And then, she was gone. The sea swallowed Kai's figure as she rose upward, higher and higher, until the waters above broke into air. Aya tumbled onto the shore, coughing, clutching the necklace that no longer glowed. She turned back, her eyes searching the horizon. But the sea was calm, silent, as though it had never spoken at all. Far below, in the depths, Kai drifted in the currents, his hand still outstretched, his heart heavy with the memory of the girl who could not stay. 2 worlds, forever apart. 2 hearts, forever bound. And so their story became the silence of the sea, and the memory of love. Days turned into weeks, and Aya never forgot the prince beneath the sea. Each night she stood by the shore, her heart aching for the world she had lost. But the sea had not forgotten her either. On a moonlit night, as the waves shimmered with silver light, the waters parted once more. From the depths emerged Kai, the prince of the sea. His eyes were sorrowful, yet filled with love that not even distance could erase. In his hands, he carried treasures beyond imagination. Pearls as bright as stars, diamonds that glittered like frozen light, and gold that shone as though it held the sun itself. Aya, he said softly, though we cannot share a life together, I will not let you walk your world in sorrow. Take these gifts, for they are yours, a memory of the sea, and of me. With a final smile, Kai placed the treasures at her feet. Then, as the waves rose, he returned to the depths, vanishing into legend. Aya wept, not for loss, but for love. For she knew his heart would always be with hers. And with the gifts of the sea, Aya's life was transformed. No longer the lonely girl on the shore, Aya became the richest woman in her village. But her true treasure was not the gold, nor the diamonds, nor the pearls. It was the memory of a love so deep, it lived forever in her heart, and in the whispers of the ocean tide.